The rise of the swans. Step into a realm where polished silver catches the light of shimmering chandeliers and whispered secrets dance on perfumed air. Within this glittering world once roamed a constellation of remarkable women. Women who redefined elegance, scandal, and social power. Some called them Capote's swans, the names that graced every society column and front-row fashion seat. Babe Paley, Slim Keith, Gloria Guinness, Pamela Churchill, Marella Agnelli, CZ Guest, and Lee Radziwill. They came from different corners, some from old money, others from aristocratic families, still others forging their status through sheer wit and ambition. But what united them was an unparalleled gift for captivating the world around them. They possessed beauty, intelligence, and a flair for transforming life into performance art. Today, we journey through their intertwined stories, a saga of high fashion, whispered betrayals, and hearts beating beneath gilded cages. Imagine a lavish soiree in mid-century Manhattan. The city's most exclusive drawing room is alive with carefully orchestrated chatter. Gowns of sumptuous silk flow across marble floors, the edges trailing in perfect symmetry, while the scent of gardenias mingles with fine cigar smoke. An orchestra plays faintly from the far side of the room, where tuxedoed gentlemen lean in to hear each other over the rising melody. A hush falls as a series of striking figures enters, one by one, each commanding the space with her distinct style. Truman Capote, petite, charismatic, armed with a razor-sharp wit, stands in the midst of this glittering assembly, his eyes alight with curiosity. He sees these women not merely as socialites, but as muses, the glamorous queens of modern society. They confide in him, invite him to their private islands, and bestow upon him a front-row seat to the intricacies of their hearts. He carefully records their confidences, every anecdote fueling the literary spark within. In time, he will become both their champion and their betrayer.
I wanted to go to Hollywood and be a professional tap dancer.
Nothing wrong.
Babe Paley, a porcelain mask. We begin with Barbara Babe Paley, hailed as the paragon of taste and refinement. The daughter of an eminent neurosurgeon, Babe grew up in a disciplined world of illusions, where a woman's worth was measured by her elegance, her curated image, and her ability to marry well. She did exactly that, first with a socially suitable husband, then famously with William S. Paley, founder of CBS. In the pantheon of style icons, Babe was worshipped. Vogue and Harper's Bazaar regularly featured her impeccable ensembles. Her ability to mix couture pieces with costume jewelry sparked international trends. Women across America studied her photographs, attempting to emulate the way she tied a scarf or carried her handbag. Yet beneath her polished exterior, she was often lonely. Perfection came at a cost. Every morning, she rose hours before her husband to ensure her makeup, hair, and outfit were flawless, hiding any imperfection with meticulous care. She also concealed deeper wounds. A car accident in the 1930s left her with dental injuries, forcing her to wear a bridge that she guarded as fiercely as any national secret. Over time, the demands of her social position weighed heavily on her. Her marriage to Bill Paley was more about appearances than intimacy. He admired her as one might admire a prized artwork, stunning to behold, yet never truly understood. In Truman Capote, Babe discovered a mischievous confidant. She poured her heart out to him, unaware that some of her most personal revelations would later become fodder for his fiction. An ironic twist of fate for the woman who embodied grace under pressure. Slim Keith, the California spirit. If Babe Paley was a porcelain figurine, Slim Keith was the sunny breeze that rattled the windows of polite society. Tall, sporty, and brimming with a laid-back confidence, Slim was the quintessential California girl. Born Nancy Slim Gross, she'd faced tragedy early, losing her young brother in a horrifying accident, and emerged unbroken, forging a carefree spirit that drew Hollywood icons into her orbit. Her first marriage was to film director Howard Hawks, and it was Slim's keen eye that discovered the 18-year-old Lauren Bacall, who would become Hawks's new star. Slim later moved on to marriages with high-profile men such as Leland Hayward, wielding her sharp wit like an EP in the swashbuckling world of mid-century high society. She disliked hypocrisy, and her unsparing honesty made her an unpredictable ally, or foe, within social circles that valued polite fictions. Whether sailing in the Mediterranean or lounging beside Hemingway in Cuba, Slim maintained a remarkable authenticity, rarely letting the veneer of wealth distract her from real enjoyment. While Babe Paley's sense of perfection could seem otherworldly, Slim's breezy nonchalance kept her tethered to a refreshing practicality. Yet for all her joie de vivre, she too understood heartbreak. Divorces, secret affairs, and shifting alliances littered the path beneath her perfect pedicures. Truman Capote was intrigued by her contradictions. Here was a glamorous rebel who could befriend aristocrats, yet remain unimpressed by their pretenses. Gloria Guinness, the enigma. Gloria Guinness epitomized mystery. She was born in Mexico during a time of revolution, an era shadowed by political intrigue. Rumor had it that she traced her lineage to aristocratic circles in Europe, though details shifted as frequently as her social engagements. Marrying into nobility, she floated effortlessly among the titled and the wealthy. Yet some whispered she had dined with high-ranking Nazis, spied for various governments, or even consorted with the Gestapo, all claims cloaked in uncertainty. What no one could contest was Gloria's sartorial brilliance. She sparkled in couture, Balenciaga, Dior, Givenchy, each gown a statement of flawless taste. One day, she might appear as a picture of demure sophistication. The next, she'd dazzle in a bold new style that left onlookers gasping. Constant reinvention was her hallmark. The walls of her homes in Switzerland, France, and New York showcased her chameleon-like personality, with photographs from grand fêtes and personal snapshots that only hinted at the complexities beneath. To Capote, Gloria was a wellspring of tantalizing possibilities. She shared cryptic anecdotes about her past, shifting the lens of truth just enough to keep him and everyone else guessing. Some of Babe Paley's admirers eyed Gloria with suspicion, sensing an unspoken rivalry in the air. After all, two style icons rarely stand comfortably side by side. Whether at a Paris couture show or a Manhattan fundraiser, Gloria commanded attention and thrived upon it. Pamela Churchill, later Harriman, strategist of society. If there was one swan who viewed life like a strategy board, it was Pamela Churchill. Born into England's aristocratic halls, she survived the turmoil of World War II by cultivating alliances with powerful men. Randolph Churchill, Leland Hayward, and, later, the American diplomat Averell Harriman. Dubbed the greatest courtesan of the 20th century, Pamela wore the controversial label with a wry acceptance, knowing it pointed to her remarkable ability to turn romantic connections into pathways of influence. During the war, she acted as a confidant to Winston Churchill, gleaning valuable political insights she later parlayed into social advantage. Her dinners in post-war Paris or Washington, D.C. could shape conversations in corridors of power. While some whispered disapproval behind fluttering fans, Pamela gained a reputation for using her wit and elegance to leverage opportunities men often took for granted. Truman Capote found her magnetic, fascinated by how she artfully balanced diplomacy, charm, and unabashed ambition. She discovered in Capote a playful sounding board, offering carefully selected tidbits about her life, deftly omitting any detail that might truly jeopardize her carefully cultivated position. In America, where she eventually focused her political and philanthropic endeavors, she found a larger stage for the drama of her life.
I knew that something was moving. I didn't know a date or anything.
Marella Agnelli, Serenity in a Whirlwind. Princess Marella Agnelli, wife of Fiat magnate Gianni Agnelli, stood as a portrait of Italian grace. Tall, swan-necked, and quietly charismatic, she was a fixture in international society from Rome to New York. The world saw her as serene, an embodiment of la dolce vita, who cherished architecture, gardening, and photography. Hers was a refined existence, one that balanced the weight of industrial empire with delicate artistry. Whether hosting dignitaries at the family's legendary estate or strolling through Roman gardens, Marella never flaunted her wealth. Instead, her impact was subtle. A tilt of the head, a gentle correction of an errant table setting, or a kind word spoken in perfect Italian. Truman Capote once described her as a Renaissance painting come to life, and Marella wore that distinction with understated pride. Where many members of her circle reveled in flamboyant gestures, grand parties meant to dazzle, Marella excelled in curation. She selected just the right flowers, the perfect arrangement of modern art, or a timeless piece of furniture. Yet beneath that composure lay a woman aware of high society's shifting allegiances, keenly attuned to the fragile illusions sustaining the entire glittering ecosystem. CZ. Guest, American Aristocracy, Lucy C.Z. Guest hailed from Boston Brahmin stock, the living symbol of old American aristocracy, seamlessly merged with modern ease. She was tall and blonde, at home in a ball gown at the plaza, as much as she was in Jodhpurs at her Long Island estate. Her manner radiated relaxed confidence, no forced laughter or stilted conversation, just a gracious warmth that left guests feeling instantly welcomed. Her stance on social expectations was refreshingly unpretentious. She insisted that good manners were simply about kindness and common sense, echoing a time when civility formed the bedrock of society. While others might fuss over the next big gala or the latest fashion show, CZ found joy in simpler pleasures like gardening, riding, and conversing with dear friends. Yet she never relinquished the strict sense of pride that came with her family's name. Those who knew her recognized that behind her approachable facade was a woman raised to exacting standards, unwilling to let the chaos of shifting social tides dilute her core values. To Capote, she exemplified a curious duality, an aristocrat who maintained a warm, almost maternal presence in public, yet never wavered in her convictions or her boundaries. She played hostess to the fashionable and the famous, but there was a subtle line one simply did not cross in CZ Guest's world. Capable of unstoppable charm, she could also shut a door swiftly if her trust was broken. Lee Radziwill, the younger sister in the spotlight. Finally, we come to Lee Radziwill, the younger sister of Jacqueline Kennedy. Born Caroline Lee Bouvier, Lee grew up under the shadow of a family legacy that loomed ever larger after Jackie married John F. Kennedy. Where Jackie's every movement was scrutinized on the global stage, Lee craved her own identity, a space where her voice could resonate without being muffled by her sister's iconic aura. She immersed herself in art, film, and theater, crossing paths with cutting-edge creators who admired her striking style and cultivated mind. She worked with Harper's Bazaar, engaged in design projects, and even attempted a brief stage career. Though the public largely saw her as the lesser-known Bouvier's sister, Lee was fiercely independent. Capote was drawn to her contradictions. She could appear delicate, yet behind her soft smile was a steely resolve forged by personal tragedy and heartbreak. Navigating her marriage to Prince Stanisław Radziwill was no small feat, particularly amid swirling rumors and dramatic feuds often overshadowed by Jackie's own luminous narrative. And while Lee found acceptance among Europe's high-born elites, she remained forever an American patrician at heart, shaping her life through trial, reinvention, and quiet determination. The gilded stage, parties, and power. These 7 women, Babe, Slim, Gloria, Pamela, Marella, CZ, and Lee, did not merely exist in splendid isolation. Their stories crisscrossed constantly during the golden era of galas and charity balls. A single soirée might find them gathered under one gilded ceiling, exchanging polite kisses on both cheeks, their eyes scanning the room for potential rivals or allies. Between the chattering couples and clinking champagne glasses, each swan showcased her own brand of influence. Babe Paley's parties in Manhattan were legendary for their seamless blend of high fashion and intellectual conversation. Slim Keith might organize a yacht excursion that felt as casually elegant as a weekend picnic. Gloria Guinness would stun the crowd with a daring new couture gown. Pamela Churchill carefully orchestrated seating charts to advance political connections. Marella Agnelli brought an unspoken gravitas to any gathering, and CZ Guest reminded everyone that graciousness could go hand in hand with sophistication. Meanwhile, Lee Radziwill moved quietly through the throng, never overshadowing the others, yet never quite overshadowed herself. Truman Capote floated among them like a hummingbird sipping nectar, collecting stories, quips, and confessions. At times, the Swans turned to him as a court jester, someone who could liven up a subdued evening with his effervescent wit. Other times, he was the confidant, the empathetic soul who appeared to understand their private struggles. Yet beneath his playful manner lurked an unquenchable thirst for narrative gold, a hunger that would someday provoke a reckoning. Rivalries and allegiances. High society was not free from tension. Rivalries simmered among the swans, silent competitions over who wore an outfit best or whose dinner invitation sparkled brightest. Babe Paley and Gloria Guinness shared a history of subtle one-upmanship, each believing herself more impeccable than the other. Slim Keith's frank honesty could offend those more sensitive to social niceties. Pamela Churchill raised eyebrows for her willingness to leverage romantic liaisons in pursuit of influence, even within the same circles where others preferred more discreet strategies. Still, these tensions rarely boiled over in public. The Swans were too refined, too aware that scandal could topple their carefully built towers. Instead, they maintained a veneer of mutual respect, forging alliances whenever mutually beneficial. Sitting side by side at a glittering luncheon, they might trade morsels of information. Who was preparing to invest in a new resort? Which European count was in a secret financial crisis? Which socialite risked losing her status? For Truman Capote, each snippet was pure gold, fueling the tapestry he would someday unveil. The undercurrents of confession. As the months turned to years, the Swans increasingly confided in Capote. Perhaps they felt safe with him. He was small in stature, flamboyant, and seemed hardly a threat. They laughed at his jokes, indulged his eccentricities, and found delight in his storytelling. Babe Paley saw him as a kindred spirit, someone who understood her restless sadness beneath the perfect facade. Slim Keith welcomed his directness as a refreshing alternative to the polite facades swirling around them. CZ Guest believed him to be a well-meaning friend, though she maintained a New England caution in what she revealed. Unbeknownst to them, Capote cataloged their woes: crumbling marriages, hidden affairs, gambling debts, feuds among relatives. For him, it was a trove of human drama. In a world obsessed with controlling appearances, these confessions were dynamite. Someday, he would light the fuse, creating an explosion that would irreversibly alter their bond. The quiet, foreshadowing. In the hush of luminous chandeliers, these women soared like exotic birds, sometimes together, more often circling at a distance, each protective of her own secrets. Yet, collectively, they formed an elite sisterhood that defined post-war elegance. This was their world, breathtaking, ruthless, and enthralling. But the seeds of disruption were already planted, growing quietly in Capote's imagination, fueled by the very intimacies they had entrusted to him. You can almost sense it, the subtle tremor beneath all that glitter and grace, hinting that beneath the swirling silks and clinking glassware, a storm is gathering. In a world of curated perfection, the sharpest blow sometimes comes from the one you trust the most. As our story continues, the Swans will discover that the bond between muse and writer can be a perilous dance, one that threatens to expose every secret they hold dear. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we delve deeper into the betrayals beneath the glittering facade of high society and witness how even the closest confidences can unravel under the glare of ambition. If you've enjoyed this chapter of glamour and intrigue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You won't want to miss the rest of this extraordinary tale.